So in this video, I'm going to be focusing on how the role of women changed during the progressive era. So what I did was I wrote a list of four major points I want to talk about for the class. So my first one is they became more involved in social and political reform movements. Women advocated for suffrage, labor rights, and social welfare reforms, leading to increased public visibility and activism. So basically what this means is they were just trying to get more out there. They wanted to be more seen. They wanted to be more known, just like anybody in the world wants to be. If you want to do something, you need to make it happen and you need to be seen. You don't just want to be in the dark. So that's my best way of explaining that. My second point I'm going to be talking about is when it took place. The progressive era took place from the 1890s to the 1920s, with the peak of women's activism for suffrage and reform occurring around the early 1900s. Which this was a very tough time for women already. So with this suffrage movement, I think it brought a lot more attention focusing in on women and not just men or other problems going on in the world. This just really brought it in for women and focused on them. My third point is their increased involvement of the women in the progressive era significantly advanced progressivism by broadening the movement's scope and addressing issues relating to social justice, labor, and human rights as a whole. Human rights now are a big deal because every human deserves to have rights, no matter your race, ethnicity, religion, any of that. So not only was this movement focusing on women, but it was kind of focusing on human rights as a whole, which is not a bad thing. Everybody needs their rights. Now, my fourth and my final point to kind of tie this all together is the impact of women's activism during the progressive era laid the foundation for the advancements of women's rights as a whole, leading to the eventual ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920, granting women the right to vote, which was a huge deal. This really gave women the power that they had been wanting, and not just power, but this was a right that everyone should have already had, but they didn't. And so with this 19th Amendment coming in, it really helped women feel more out there and that they weren't having to kind of be hidden. They got a voice, they got a say, which is a major thing in the 1920s. However, issues relating to gender equality and women's rights persist today, including wage issues, women's not getting paid the same as men, or really this could go with a lot of things, but mainly just discrimination, reproductive rights, and gender-based discrimination. So kind of to wrap this all up, it took place from the 1890s all the way to the 1920s. It had the peak of women's activism for suffrage and reform occurring around the early 1900s. But the increased involvement of women, it really just significantly made it so they had these rights. And that was just that's my key point in this video that I want everybody to understand. This was a turning point for women as a whole. And not only was it a turning point for women, but I think it brought more attention to human rights and that everyone deserves to be equal, no matter who you are or what place you have in the world or what you do for your job, just in general. And that's all I have to say about this. So thank you for watching.